welcome to the Keyboard Road Warrior with me, Movie Scouse 007, where we play Euro Truck Simulator 2 with a laptop and a keyboard. Our next journey begins, and as always with Keyboard Road Warrior, it begins with us repairing our truck and getting some rest, and then selecting a new job. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, we are a little bit tired, but luckily we are parked right next to the place where we're going to get rest and repair, and it's right here. So we've got quite a bit of money, as you can see, £313,000. So let's repair. So I think it was 2 or 3%. That's a lot. That's probably more than 3%. I forget how much it was now, but it's £3,598 to repair. Well, you know, that's fine. Now let's go and get some rest. Was there a truck parked there? It would appear not. So, engine off. Let's get some rest. Looks like we might get a day cycle. We've got some daytime. All right, it's twilight. Not twilight, sorry, that's the wrong end of the flipping day. Daybreak. Oh dear. I'm having problems today. So, let's put ourselves in Gdańsk. Oh god, no, we don't want to go back to Oslo. We've just been to Oslo. Turku in Finland. Stockholm, we've been to Liverpool. Frankfurt, we've been to Budapest, we have a garage there. Brno, we've been to Bremen, we've been to Dresden, we haven't been to. It's a relatively short journey. It doesn't earn us a great deal of money. There's 2 jobs in Dresden. Katowice, Lutz, Auschlitzen, which we've been to, Auschlitzen, and job in Gdańsk. Let us go with our medical supplies to Turku in Finland. Okay, I think we've not been there before. Yeah, we've not been to either of the cities in Finland. So let's set that as our GPS destination, and let's go get our load. Actually, before we get our load, let us quickly look at our company manager. So let's look at our garage manager first. Alright, I think we can spend £160,000 on 2 lorries. So let's do that. We're going to put a lorry in Warsaw and a lorry in Edinburgh. So let's do that first. We're going Volvo, obviously. Let's see what Colding offers us. Customize the configuration, get rid of the big engine. 80,184. Okay, so we're going to confirm that. We're going to purchase it. We're going to put one in Edinburgh. Boom. And one in Warsaw. Okay. We're about to spend £2,500 on drivers, so let's go get some drivers. This is going to help us with our income. So this is the map. So you can see I need to discover in Jönköping. There's one in Jönköping and one in Kristiansand. We've been to Kristiansand. Why did we not find the recruitment agency in Kristiansand? One in Aberdeen, one in Newcastle upon Tyne, one in Manchester, one in London, one in Plymouth. Oh no, that doesn't make any sense. There's a whole bunch in northern France. Lorient, Rennes, Nantes, Le Havre, Rouen, and Calais, and Metz. Then we've got one in Zurich. See, Bern is going to be a capital that we get hold of. Innsbruck and Wien. Wien's another one we're going to get hold of. That's a capital. Budapest we've got. And where else is there? Krakow, Lodz, Poznan. So let's, there's one in Gdańsk we haven't actually found yet, but let's go hire these drivers. So, he's looking pretty good, as is, that's a good spread. That's a good spread. And they're 1.7s, which is also good. Oh, yes. Sabrina's got an ADR, a long journey, and 2 on just in time. Oh, Jean, ADR, long journey, high value, and just in time. I think they were going to stick with the higher rated drivers. They'll earn more money more quickly. So really, I'm going to pick these two. I'm going to pick Georgia for Warsaw, and I'm going to pick Boris for Edinburgh. So we have 2 new drivers, so let's look at our company manager as our driver manager. So there we go. These are, hopefully these are the order in which we recruited them. So you can see that we had little money, and so we just recruited one driver at a time. Then we came into big money thanks to all of these drivers, and we started to spend money all over the place. So Warsaw, Amsterdam, Edinburgh, Warsaw, Edinburgh. Actually, I should have put the other one in Amsterdam first, maybe. Actually, no, we're fine. All right, so playtime is over. Let us let's pick up our load. Oh, damn it. I had a feeling that might happen. That is the problem when you are in too much of a hurry to look at what traffic's approaching, and that's exactly what I did. I was in too much of a hurry to check out, and yeah, that cost me £320. So let's try and avoid doing that again, eh? So today I want to talk about Shakespeare. The reason I want to talk about Shakespeare is that last night I went to see a wonderful amateur production of The Tempest, which is generally considered to be Shakespeare's last, the last play that Shakespeare wrote on his own. Let's get these. I can't believe that I'm missing out on these discoverables, like an idiot. So let's get the discoverables and then let's pick up the load. So it's generally considered to be the last play that Shakespeare wrote on his own. It's quite an interesting play. He abandons the world of magic a little bit and then completely embraces it in the next. which is a bit bizarre, but you know, we are talking 15th century here, so sorry, 16th century, 17th century. I'm looking. Okay, I really have problems. Yeah, sorry, it's 17th century, it was 1600s, which is called the 17th century. We live in the year this is recorded is 2014, and this is the 21st century. Oh, do you know what I didn't do? I didn't get my screenshot of the job, which was a remiss of me. Where are we? Okay. So let's pick up the job. Let's take the job. And let's pick up the load, which is over here. And that's it there. It's the big white one, I believe, with the skirt. That's fine. That's what he said. And we're in. Boom. So let's go, let's rock, let's head to Finland. It's the first time we've ventured to Finland in this playthrough. There are only 2 cities in Finland in the ProMods map. Well, there are only 2 cities in Finland in the entire map. And we are turning left. So thankfully... Cool. Sometimes you just have to make your own room. Yes. So there are only two cities: Turku, which we're visiting, and Helsinki, which is the capital. We're not going to the capital. We're just going to Turku. And that's fine. Let's use the indicators, because I haven't used the indicators in a long while, and I've got the time and I feel inclined. Okay. So yes, so I went to see an open air amateur production of The Tempest, which was quite good. I really enjoyed it. Sat outdoors. We took a takeaway pizza with us. We had some beer. It was sunny, because in New Zealand it's sunny at the moment. Well, it depends on what part of New Zealand you're in, but in Christchurch it's reasonably good weather. It's a bit mild and windy today in Christchurch, but yesterday it was bright and sunny and hot. Very, very hot. In fact, I recorded a video yesterday, which was the last video, and you'll recall I was complaining about the heat. In fact, my iPad was overheating and wouldn't work. And in the second half of the video, you can actually hear... Oops, sorry, I bashed the table. You can hear the air conditioning unit that I've got, which in New Zealand they call a heat pump, even though I was using it to make the room cooler. Heat pumps. Well, there you go. So we're leaving Gdańsk. I hated Shakespeare at school. It was unpenetrable, unfathomable. It was impossible to get my head around, because the way I was being taught it, I was being taught it as if it was a book to read. If you've ever given a Shakespeare play a good go from cover to cover, you'll know that it is nothing like a book. Shakespeare rarely uses stage directions. Most of his writing is dialogue. He is the Kevin Smith of his era. He is, or the Quentin Tarantino. He loves dialogue. Dialogue is what he is all about. almost no stage direction in any of his plays. And that, more than anything else, is what makes Shakespeare so powerful and so so timeless, and that's what gives his plays such longevity, what makes them easy to plug into any era. Because although the dialogue is, the language is English, it's used in a way which we don't use English anymore. English has been disseminated across the globe in a variety of different countries and is used in a variety of different ways. I'm in a country that uses English in quite a different way from my home country, the birthplace of the English language. I live in New Zealand at the moment, and although I quite happily understand everything that is said by a New Zealander, they use some words differently, and we've talked about this in a previous video. But Shakespeare, aside from the language being used differently, and the odd cultural reference that's meaningless to a 21st century audience, or in fact meaningless to anyone but a 17th century audience, it is absolutely timeless. It's wonderful. I fell in love with Shakespeare, but not at school. As I said, it was taught so appallingly badly. Oh, that's speaking of appallingly badly. It was taught in such a poor manner that I didn't develop an interest in Shakespeare until after I left school. I think it was Christmas, and I think I was 18, might have been 19, and you know what Christmas is like. People get drunk and full and grumpy, and periodically the party fragments. And I, being a teenager, at the end of my teenage years, fragmented in the direction of the television, as was my wont. I was a bit of a telly addict as a teenager. I'm not much recovered from it now, to be honest. But I was flicking through, and there wasn't really a great deal on. There was a bunch of films that I think I'd already seen like 100 times. But there was a production of Othello. It was a South African production of Othello, and it was a black Othello. It was a very controversial production by a female director called Janet Suzman, who's also an actor, and it captivated me. It was a wonderful performance. It just totally engaged me. It was directed and performed in a manner which made it incredibly easy to understand what people were saying in spite of the difference in language. And that's the key to a good Shakespeare performance. It's a key that one of my theatrical heroes, Kenneth Branagh, has in his armoury. If you've not seen any Shakespeare, and you wouldn't mind having a look at some Shakespeare, but you're a bit worried about whether you'll understand it or not, anything directed by Kenneth Branagh is probably a pretty bloody good introduction to Shakespeare. I would suggest, of all of the Shakespeares, I would suggest his first two, which were Henry V and Much Ado About Nothing. Henry V was the first film he made. He directed for the stage at that point, but he'd never directed for the screen in anything. And he decided to take on Henry V. It's a wonderful production. It's low budget, but that's absolutely, completely irrelevant, because it's not about the budget, it's about the performances. It's a who's who of 1980s theatrical royalty, and it is just beautifully done. It's directed and staged in a manner which makes it very easy to understand what's going on. It's visceral, alive. It's got action sequences in that are incredibly well directed. I can't think of too many actor-directors that can deliver dialogue while making a horse go up on its back legs and whirl round in a manner which doesn't look like the actor's going to fall off at any minute. It's a beautiful production. It's wonderfully made, and it's incredibly vibrant. And I think if I had been in my teens when that was being made, that might have been the thing that pulled me into Shakespeare. It wasn't. It was this fantastic. Oh, something else that I should tell you about this South African production. This was a South African production that was performed in South Africa before the end of apartheid. So yes, imagine that, a black actor kissing a white woman in South Africa during apartheid. It's no wonder there was a frisson in the audience, and there was a certain amount of tension to the production. But if I could find that production... Oh, speeding, of course I'm speeding. I'm in a hurry to get to Turku. I want to deliver this load. That's what I want to do. So yes, the other Kenneth Branagh production, if you're looking for something to get into, as I've said, is Much Ado About Nothing. Much Ado About Nothing is a sort of a tragicomedy. It's kind of listed in the comedies, but it's actually got significant elements of tragedy to it, and high drama. It's brilliantly done. He's transferred the scene to, I would say, 18th century Tuscany. It features his then wife Emma Thompson. The two lead characters are Beatrice and Benedict, and they love each other, but they refuse to admit it. And they have this great sparring for the first half of the movie, and then a number of characters conspire to help them fall in love. And then I won't spoil it for you. There's a dramatic twist which interrupts this burgeoning love story. But you know, it's a Shakespeare play. Everything works out well in the end. It's a Shakespeare comedy. Everything works out well in the end. There are plenty of other productions that are very much worth. He did a fantastic unabridged version of Hamlet. A 4-hour film of Hamlet, if you can imagine that. Which is incredible. He's made a musical version of A Comedy of Errors. I truly hope he brings his... He performed Macbeth last year for the stage, and I really hope... He's been reluctant to play Macbeth for some reason that I don't understand. But he did a stage performance, a stage production of it last year, which unfortunately I missed because I was in bloody New Zealand. Not that there's anything wrong with New Zealand, it's just I was the wrong side of the bloody country for something that I had wanted to see for such a long time. But there are other actors that have done excellent, that have produced excellent Shakespeare. Ralph Fiennes has produced a fantastic Coriolanus for film. There are several brilliant Macbeths. There's so Ian McKellen's done a fantastic Macbeth. There is a pretty bloody good one with Patrick Stewart as Macbeth. There is a David Tennant, who was Doctor Who was the 10th Doctor. He has done a pretty well received Hamlet. There's a whole series of Shakespeare's made by the BBC, I believe Granada, who are a British television company, have produced a series of Shakespeare plays. Mel Gibson's Hamlet's pretty good. There is Twelfth Night. There's a pretty good Twelfth Night, which stars a whole slew of people, but I can't think of the name of the actress that plays Viola off the top of my head, which is unfortunate. What else is there? Kira Kurosawa's done a pretty good Japanese Macbeth called, I think it's called Throne of Blood, which is very interesting. It's quite interesting watching Shakespeare being performed in a foreign language, given that Shakespeare was all about the dark. Whoa! Are you kidding me? Oh, I will never get a break in this fucking game. Oh well. I'm peed off now. That's annoying. That was my fault, by the way. I'm not. I cut the corner, so that's my fault. But it doesn't make me any less pissed off. Oh, you kidding me? This bloody AI is suicidal. I kid you not. There is plenty of Shakespeare out there on DVD and Blu-ray for you to get your teeth into. There's nothing quite like a performance, though, a live performance. I've seen quite a few amateur Shakespeares, and I've seen a couple of professional. I've seen a whole bunch of Shakespeare at the Royal Shakespeare Company. I've seen Winter's Tale, Taming of the Shrew, Henry V, and the most recent one was New Year's Eve 2012. So about a year and 3 months ago, I saw Merry Wives of Windsor at the brand new Royal Shakespeare, the Shakespeare Theatre, the main stage, which has been brilliantly redeveloped. They had a pretty ugly old proscenium arch with a fair old slant, and they've completely changed the layout, and they've put a thrust stage in there. They've got two other theatres. They've got the Swan Theatre and they've got the other place. The Swan Theatre is sort of attached to the main theatre, and it's the inspiration for the redevelopment of the main theatre. The Swan is also a thrust. It's a big wooden thrust. The main stage is a concrete thrust. It's huge, and I can see why they went there. They don't want the Swan, and the Swan has this sort of unique atmosphere that they wanted to retain, and they kind of take away something from it if they copied the main stage copied it completely. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great fun, and it was you get much closer to the actors with a thrust stage. More people get closer to the actors when watching theatre on a thrust. It's ooh, I'm going through a red light. That is, and I got away with that because I was on the wrong side of the road. That is something they need to sort out. They need to remove the ability to avoid a red light by going along the wrong side of the road. Okay, so this is quite a hefty old journey. We do have a little bit of a ferry ride which takes away, but this is a 30-hour journey, so it's a long old chunk. So this is possibly going to be a 3-part video. I mean, it's all going to be one part, but it's possibly going to be divided into 3 bits. which might mean that I have to upload it in 2 bits. The last time I had a huge video, it wouldn't upload the whole thing all in one go, and I had to divide it into a couple of bits. So I've still got plenty of time before the drive. I have to rest. Still time for 6 hours. I'm not going to make it to the ferry in that time, but still a huge, because I think I'm still in Poland. Yeah, I'm still in Poland. I'm about to make a right turn here. So my interest was piqued by this South African production of Othello, which really fascinated me, really grabbed me on Christmas Eve. It's the one time I've been allowed to get to carry on watching television at Christmas without being yelled at to join the family. But it was nurtured by joining an amateur theatre company, an amateur youth theatre company, where the people running it were as into Shakespeare as I was, in fact more so. And so I think I performed at about 17 Shakespeares. I played everything from Laertes, brother of Ophelia in Hamlet, to I think the title role in not Richard II, Henry VII, I think it was. Just paid a loan fee. Yeah, I think it was Henry VII. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But I've been... what else have I done? Ferdinand in the Tempest, which is the play that I went to watch last night. When I did it in my mid-20s, I played... Oh, sugar. Oh, damn it. I don't know how I got away with that. I don't know where my brain is. Well, I know my brain's in Shakespeare is where it is, but that's definitely not a 2-lane road. I should have known better. Bit curious as to... Oh, hang on. I'm letting them get away with me. I was going to say I'm a bit curious as to why everyone's crawling along at snail's pace, and then they suddenly sped up. So we're going through Szczecin, which we discovered in our last journey on our way to Gdańsk. I wish I had some tea now. This is going to be a long old journey, and I don't have no tea. Not that I can drink it much when I'm in full flow. I've noticed a lot of the people that I've been following that play Euro Truck Simulator have stopped playing Euro Truck Simulator. Which is a little sad, because... but I can understand what it is. You get a game, you play it to death, and then you get a new game, and you abandon your old game in favour of that new game. That's kind of what I have repeatedly done. But it doesn't make me any the less sad that I've discovered Twitch because of Euro Truck Simulator 2. And I discovered a bunch of these people because they play Euro Truck Simulator 2, and they're moving on from the game. Yeah, well, I wasn't going to wait. I am racking up the fines today. But thankfully my income is outstripping my fines. Don't think it's going to outstrip my damage though. But we've still got 200,000. We're going to start making more and more money because we recruited 2 more drivers at the beginning of this journey, and we are struggling to go to places that are brand new. So I'm going to start spending the money. Aside from hanging on to a spare 144k, we're going to start spending more and more of the money on new lorries and recruiting drivers, and that is what gets us cash. You saw how quickly we started to get cash once I filled Liverpool and Berlin up. We're going to do the same with Amsterdam, Warsaw, and Edinburgh. I forgot for a second where my fifth garage was there. The more money, the more drivers and more trucks we have, the more money we'll earn, the faster we'll earn more money. This is all logical, I don't really need to say this to you. But it does snowball. And then you'll find, cause I showed you how much of the map we've discovered, and during the journey we were about 43. We're probably about 44% by the time we'd finished the journey. I need to check bags of time. How much fuel have we got? Oh, bags of fuel. No worries. It snowballs. Sorry, no, I was talking about... So we probably had about 44% of the map discovered. We are going to start running out of cities to discover, and then we'll be looking at roads to discover. So we'll be selecting journeys based on what road we can... Oh, crap. I need to go down that road. What road we use to get to that journey, to that destination. And also we will start revisiting capitals we've already been to in order to put a garage there. Once we've run out of garages, our focus will be solely on getting that roads discovered thing to 100%. That will be our focus. Getting to 100% on the roads discovered. If we get to level 150 before that, then we might carry on until we've discovered them. We might just do some free driving at the end just for fun. If we get to 100% discovered before we reach level 150, we will think about that, whether we're still having fun doing it or not. But that's very much in the future. This is our 52nd video together. We're at level 22 or 23. So we've still got quite a long way to go. We're not even a third of the way through the full career yet. So it's too early to start talking about too early to start talking in depth about what we're going to do when we reach the end of when we near the end of our career on the keyboard. Obviously, I am a bit of a butterfly, and it might be that I enjoy playing this game so much with the steering wheel when I get back to the UK that I might be reluctant to keep playing it with the keyboard, but we'll see. I don't want to give up on the keyboard because there are a lot of people out there that simply can't afford a steering wheel. I want to give them, something to aim for, although someone to aim at, because it can't be much easier to drive this game better than I do with the keyboard. I am pretty average at this game, but I hope it's entertaining. Anyway, so I had this passion for Shakespeare nurtured with this youth theatre company where I performed in about 17 of Shakespeare's plays. I did Hamlet. I was in Hamlet. I was in Romeo and Juliet. I played Juliet's dad. I had to grow. This is a 26-year, somewhere between 24 and 26, and it was the first time I'd grown a beard. And actually, I can tell you, I was 24. I can tell you exactly how old I was because it was the same year I started working. It's when I started working in printing, and when I started there, I had this huge beard, an enormous beard, this giant beard. And it wasn't thick. It wasn't like it was this impenetrable thing that you couldn't see my face. I was only 24, and it was the first time I'd ever grown a beard, so it was more like mousse than a beard. It was full of air. But I do remember that after the play, I shaved the beard off, and then I think I shaved the beard off on like a Saturday, I had a performance on the Saturday, sorry, went to sleep, shaved the beard off on the Sunday, and went to work on the Monday, and no one recognised me. Because I'd started this job after I'd started growing the beard, and so I had the beard when I started working there. So bizarrely, nobody recognised me, which was very amusing. So yes, Henry V, Richard the Third. No, we didn't do Richard the Third. We did Henry the Fourth parts 1 and 2, and Henry the Fifth. We did Much Ado About Nothing. We did Comedy of Errors. We did. Do you know what? I've just realised I gave you a complete misdirection. Kenneth Branagh didn't do a film version of Comedy of Errors. He did a movie version, a musical or version of Love's Labour's Lost, set in the 20s, and singing 20s standards like They Can't Take That Away From Me, stuff like that. Fabulous songs that you would have heard Bing Crosby and his contemporaries sing along to in films. Anyway, so yeah, we did a Comedy of Errors. We did... Oh, crikey, what else did we do? I can't remember. We did a bunch of stuff. As I said, I played Ferdinand in The Tempest, which was the play I went to see last night. Ferdinand is the son of the King of Naples, who... the basic plot is that Prospero is the former Duke of Milan, and he's been usurped by his brother and shipwrecked on an island with his 3-year-old daughter. And then 12 years later, coming back from wedding his daughter to some royalty in North Africa, like I think Egypt. The King of Naples and his band, including his nasty brother and the King's nasty brother, and Ferdinand, who is the son of the King. Prospero contrives to have Ferdinand and his daughter Miranda meet and fall in love. And are you kidding me? Get out of my bloody way. That's my fault for not spotting that exit sooner. I don't need my... I want my lights on, but I don't need my high beams on. One thing I've noticed is I've noticed that I don't get flashed at in this game in a way that a lot of the Twitch and YouTube ETS2ers I watch do. If they leave their main beams on, they get flashed at by drivers coming in the opposite direction, which is totally realistic. It's oh, crikey. That's interesting. There, those orange arrows. I really wish they weren't in the game. They totally break the fourth wall down. Okay, we're going to overtake because that guy's going so flippin' slow. As is this guy. This is a bit of a risk. But everything worked out better than expected. Alright, we are taking the ferry. This is our first little ferry ride, and I think what we're going to do is we are going to take the ferry, and then I'll pause and upload the footage, and we'll carry on talking about Shakespeare when we get the other side of this river. So let's get ourselves onto the boat. Right, where are we going? We're going to Gdańsk. It's a very short, it's a 2-hour journey, so I think £272. It's an awful lot of money for a 2-hour ferry journey, but then you do kind of earn a lot of money in this game. So hang on, let's just double check. 4 hours. Oh, hang on. I've got 26 to go and 53. Oh, I'm going to pause the video here, and I'll see you in a moment. Right, we are back, and we're going to leave. Oh, blimey, that was a bit bouncy. Okay, so Cameron's leveled up. That's good. So we're entering Scandinavia. You can see the 3 Scandinavian flags right there. That is Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Or is that the other way around? And then you can see German. You can see the German flag. So double check everything is alright. Okay, so let's just quickly check on the map where we are. I believe we're in, we are, this is all part of Denmark. You see we're heading for Copenhagen, then we'll go through Sweden to Stockholm, and we'll take a ferry from Stockholm to Turku. So that's where we are. So we're in Denmark at the moment. Okay, slow down. 4 hours until we've got to have any rest. No, 24-hour remaining on our journey. So if we get that down to we get that down to 20. We take our break. We should be all right. Yeah, that's fine. I can swallow an 80-buck fine to get past some stupid slow-moving lorries and cars. I've got no problem with that. We are rocking and rolling. If we were pulling ore or fluid, I wouldn't have done anything like that. We would have been going too fast, and we would have tipped because the centre of gravity would be such that the vehicle would tip over at the slightest change in direction. As we've discovered both times we've driven that ore truck, which is it's got a short wheelbase, and it's a white truck, and it sits at the back of the load, and you've got these stilts that come out for you to connect to the lorry. This framework that the ore container sits at the back of, and it's an absolute nightmare to drive. I think it would be easier if we had the full 4x4x2. What is it, 6x4? I can never remember. The description of the bogies doesn't make any sense to me, but we'll discuss that when we next upgrade. I'll click on that. Sorry, when we next get some rest, we'll have access to the upgrade. Oh, actually, how are we doing? We're all right. We're halfway on fuel. That's good. So, I'm not sure, but I think we might have gone over the bridge into Sweden. I think that's, or we might be just about to. Anyway, so I've had quite a lot of amateur level experience with Shakespeare, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's what cemented it most. It certainly brings out the meaning. When you're rehearsing a play for 2 to 3 months, you are talking about what they're talking about all the time. So it kind of helps you get a shorthand for what Shakespeare was talking about. That said, just because it's a complex language, and language where Shakespeare created new phrases and new terminologies, he invented the phrase. He invented stuff like the phrase "the green-eyed monster." He came up with new ways of using the English language, which is astonishing to me. Ways that don't sound contrived or childish or stupid, as some of the more modern attempts at updating the English language have. Mind you, that might just be because I've got the hindsight of 600 odd years of history. Maybe in 600 years people will be looking at the way that hip-hop artists and gangsters and rappers use the English language as a deep and meaningful interpretation of the English language. I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. But there you go. Yeah, Copenhagen. We're about to. Whoa, we were all over the shop there. We're about to hit the ferry to Malmo in Sweden. So we've been to Malmo in this particular playthrough. Still don't understand why Kristiansand has not. We've been to Kristiansand and it doesn't think we found that recruitment agency. I'm going to look at that video again. I'm going to go look at the Kristiansand video and see why we didn't do that, or if we did, why the game doesn't think we did. But obviously, I'm not going to go back there off camera. I might go back there. I might take, if we get another load for Kristiansand, I might go back there and to get the recruitment agency. And obviously, it would be nice if we went there from another route so that we got some more roads from another direction. I think we went to Kristiansand from the UK. So if we could find if we could get a job to Kristiansand from Turku, I might just do that. Be interesting actually to go through all the cities that I know I've been to and double check that I've collected everything in those cities and see how much of the road network I haven't visited. In my private profile, what I was doing is I was driving to a city and then I was driving all the way around that city, covering all of the roads to sort of get my percentage of road discovered up. But that's not particularly interesting for you guys to see me driving around city. I don't know, you see me driving from city to city. Yeah, this is the bridge. This is the bridge to Sweden. This is, I think, a representation of a bridge that is much, much, much longer in real life. There is a huge road bridge between Denmark and Sweden in real life. That is enormous, and actually the border between the two countries happens halfway across the bridge. There's a fantastic TV program called The Bridge which deals with that jurisdictional nightmare for the police. £151, where there's a murder on the bridge and it's a shared jurisdiction. I quite fancy watching that. My stepdad, well, he's not stepdad, but he might as well be. He's as good as. I kind of feel like referring to him as my stepdad. He's a lovely bloke. My parents were unhappily married for 14 years, and then they separated, and my brother and I were deeply unhappy about it. But both my parents have ended up with someone that they're very, very happy with, and it just makes me so happy. Sometimes the status quo just sucks, and you've got to realise that the colossal error has been made and move on and make yourself happy. And I wish my parents had done it earlier. But then in the 70s that was not a possibility. But anyway, this chap, he's got a DVD copy of it. I might, when I get back to the UK, I boring. I think I can spend a weekend there, and what I might do is do a marathon of it. I'm a night owl, and they're not. They're in bed at he's in bed at like 10, and pretty much like my wife. My mum goes to bed, but she's not really asleep. She sits and reads, and then she comes back down and potters and makes a cup of tea, and then she goes back up, and then she potters, and then she goes back up, and she comes down and potters. So, but yeah, I might pull an all-night marathon of the bridge, so that I don't have to take it away from them. Plus, when I go back to the UK, I'm not going to have much space. I'm going to be lodging in someone's spare room. So that's going to be different. But all fun. Anyway, so Shakespeare, which we were talking about. So this is a guy that lived when dramatic theatre was in its infancy in the United Kingdom. I think the UK London is definitely considered the birthplace of modern theatre. It was highly and brutally regulated. It was considered vile and disgusting. It was the popular entertainment for the lowest common denominator. And women in Shakespeare's time were not allowed to participate under any circumstances. And in fact, when women were finally allowed to participate, it became generally expected that if you liked a performance and could afford to, you could pay to sleep with one of the actresses. Thankfully, that barbaric, sexist, misogynist bullshit is on the wane. Although young women who want to be actresses still feel like they have to have sex with producers and studio executives in order to get a part, failing to realise that the very act of having sex with someone to get a part automatically generally tends to mean that you are unlikely to get any role in any kind of film ever. Damn it, I am overtaking when I shouldn't be. I've got a junction coming up that I need to swerve off at. Yeah, I wouldn't have made it past that dude in time for my junction. Good move to slow down. So, I am almost certain that this is going to be a three-part journey, sorry. So let's see, I've got an hour and 20 minutes before I've got to find somewhere to rest. So I think we're about to hit Stockholm. I think the next rest stop I will just pull myself in. We have got 50 hours, so we've got bags of time to do it. And it's a 19-hour, it's now a 20-hour journey. We've got time to fit 2 more rest breaks in, which would take it to 42 hours. So that is likely. So, next rest stop. And our chap is yawning. So I wouldn't dissuade people from buying copies of Shakespeare's plays to read, but I would say bear in mind that this is a play, and the best way to read a Shakespeare play is aloud. Sometimes I find it fun to just sort of... There are 36 of them, and I haven't read all of them. I've read the vast majority of them, but there are 1 or 2 that I haven't read, and I haven't read much of the sonnets. I'm in my 40s, and I'm discovering poetry as something that I could actually like, that I wasn't interested in my 20s, even though Shakespeare itself is poetry. A lot of it is in rhyming couplets and iambic pentameter and is eminently readable and beautiful. But no, he overtook me. That's fine. I can get back on the road. I was a bit worried about being on that hard shoulder there. Where's the next rest stop? Where is the next rest stop? Yeah. It's got to be around here somewhere. It's got to be around here. So I'm going to quickly check the map to see where my next rest stop is. Oh, flip. Ah, there it is, yes. We're heading north, not south, idiot. Okay, so we're good. And that is, yeah, it's a rest stop. Petrol station with a rest stop. So that's good. I like these little bits of hard shoulder. And like, it's alright, he's getting out of my way anyway. And we are on a roll. We've got the pedal to the metal. Don't you dare slow down. Good. Well, there's the sound. Yeah, I know I'm getting tired. I'm heading to that rest stop. Don't worry. Yeah, it's coming up soon. You can see underneath the red lines, periodically there'll be a gap, and you can see that it's yellow, just indicating I've already been up this road, because I've already been all the way up to Stockholm before. So, oh, listen to that reverberating noise. That's almost as bad. Actually, in fact, that's worse than the rain. The rain's pretty bad. I've got to be careful with this. Yeah, I pulled in front of him and he had a heart attack and he slowed down. Right, we're going to go into this rest stop. What we'll do is we'll get some petrol and then we will take a rest. Engine off, petrol on. Alrighty. £899, 706.92 litres. And let's go rest. Now let's pull into that one there. That looks good to me. And engine off, and we'll take some sleep. Alrighty. So we made a little bit of money. And it is 6 in the morning. So we should be going to a day cycle pretty soon. So let's see, Ausfart, Ufhart. Ufhart is entrance and Ausfart is exit, I think. Which is a bit strange, finding German in Sweden. But there you go. Or maybe that Ufhart is Swedish for exit and Ausfart is German for exit, maybe. But there you go. Oh dear. Driver Ludovic couldn't find a job and had to return empty-handed. How much did this cost us? £1,200. That's not good. So we're doing 90 kilometers an hour. Again, just in case because it's been a while since I've talked about it, just in case you're wondering why I'm only doing 90k, I have left the speed limiter on. I don't want to take the speed limiter off. primarily because I don't have a steering wheel, which means I'm not able to react as swiftly as I could with a steering wheel, which makes it more dangerous with a keyboard to do high-speed maneuvers, where you can react, you can twitch the steering wheel one way or the other. And you can do instantaneous giant moves one way or the other. I can't do that with the keyboard. It's progressive. I push the keyboard and I've got to wait for the steering wheel to go all the way around at one speed, not gradually or fast, just sort of a median speed, which is, it's just fine. With the speed limiter on, it's absolutely manageable. You've seen me do some dreadful things, but you've also seen me manage to recover occasionally, and that's primarily because I've got the limiter on. I could make shorter videos. I may, when I get back to the UK and I get the big Uber computer set up and I'm doing it all with the big picture mode on my big TV, I may be able to take the limiter off and drive that way, but I'm not going to do that on the keyboard. I don't think it's manageable with a keyboard. That was a bit twitchy. The Shakespeare's plays divide up into a number of different styles, but the four main areas that his work divides up into are the histories, the comedies, the tragedies, and the sonnets. Which sonnets are essentially love poems. So the comedies are things like Comedy of Errors, Much Ado About Nothing. The tragedies are things like Hamlet, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet. And the histories are things like Julius Caesar, Richard III, Henry V, that sort of thing. And then that's the way that historians and experts in literature have divided his work up. His work was never divided up in that manner. I doubt he ever categorized his work. He wrote it, he produced it. Sometimes he was involved in directing it. He quite often performed in it. But I think beyond writing it down for the actors to use, he didn't actually set it down in book format. That was done quite a while after his death by a pair of the actors that had worked with him. And they created a number of different versions of it. I think there's things like the first folio, and then there's good quartos and bad. I mean, I could go into depth about it, but I'd have to stop driving and I'd have to start referring to notes. But suffice to say that we only have a lot of Shakespeare's work because two of his actors decided to collect the available texts. He would have handwritten it, and he would have given pieces to the actor. Nobody would have had a full copy of the play, not even Shakespeare would have had a full copy of the play, handwritten in his to himself. And contrary to Shakespeare in Love, I doubt he ever gave a copy of it to anyone either. But I think, given what's available, we can be fairly certain that Shakespeare wrote the work, in spite of I'm not 100% certain because I'm not a historian. I'm not an expert in literature, but the evidence that's been presented doesn't persuade me, and it doesn't persuade a great many people, and it's not compelling enough to suggest that someone else wrote this work. We have all the available work. There's no hidden work. There's no reference to any plays that are missing. So anybody that in the future that comes up with hidden missing plays is a fraud, because there's no mention anywhere of any other plays other than the ones that have been presented. There's enough compelling evidence from diaries and literature to suggest that Shakespeare was at the time credited with writing the plays, and there's no reason to suggest that anyone else did so. And he is, in my opinion, the greatest writer in the English language, and possibly in any language. I think only that moronic religious text has sold more copies than Shakespeare over the years. And that's on the wane, whereas Shakespeare isn't on the wane, isn't going anywhere anytime soon. There are Shakespeare festivals all over the world. Shakespeare's performed in English and in foreign languages all over the world. So I don't think Shakespeare's going away anytime soon. He's becoming more and more recognised. The further we get away from him in terms of his lifetime, the more we appreciate the work that he's done, and the more magical his dialogue appears. It's very formal, it's very poetic, and it's not something that we do anymore. The further on the development of the English language we get, the more utilitarian it becomes. Even in music and music and poetry. Poetry is a dying art. There's another thing. But even in music, it's becoming less poetic. Oh, blimey! It's that white car on the left that was shot by us at quite a lick. That was astonishingly fast. So I think we're going past one of the new towns, the new town in Sweden that was added with the Northern France update by ProMods that dropped on Christmas Day. So we've been together. We've all been to a couple of the cities in France that were added. We've been to Portsmouth. We haven't been to Croydon yet in this. I've been to Croydon in my private profile, and I haven't been to Portsmouth in my private profile, which is amusing. But we have journeyed to a number of the cities. We haven't been to Linköping yet. I think it's Linköping was the new one. Is it Jönköping? It's an Oping anyway. So let's double check. We've got bags of time before we've got to sleep. Unfortunately, in about 20 minutes I'm going to have to stop this video again. So we might... we've got 14 hours of journey time left to us. So some of that, a short amount of that, probably 2 hours, possibly 4, will be a ferry journey from Sweden to Finland. There is a need to do that. I mean, you do that by ferry anyway. You wouldn't do that by... Although you would probably do it by ferry from Poland to Finland, which would be a much shorter journey, but that wouldn't be as interesting for you guys. This is our, after all, Euro Truck Simulator, not Euro Ferry Simulator. But in real life, you would take that short journey to Turku by ferry. You wouldn't do it by... You wouldn't go all the way through Denmark and Sweden like I am doing. But we are good for fuel, we're good for rest, we're in the daylight, which is fantastic, because unfortunately I've spent a lot of time doing bloody night journeys with you guys, which is less interesting for you to watch because you can see less, which is sad. But that was beautifully done. I thought I was a bit worried that I might clip the corner of that car, but no, we did it. I'm so looking forward to having this sort of the fine control of a steering wheel. I really am. I'm looking forward to it immensely, having that fine control. And also looking forward to having the fine control of speed and braking, the ability to sort of ease off the accelerator, which I can't do with the keyboard. It's an on-off switch with the accelerator. You let go to let the car drift, let the truck drift to a slower speed, and I can't do that. 80. supposed to be doing 80 because of roadworks. I'm doing a lot more than 80. Back to national speed limit, which I think is 100. So I'm good to go again. Now what I would really like is one of these two to stick his foot down, so that I don't have to take my foot off the gas. Oh, actually it doesn't matter, we're hitting a hill, my truck's suddenly gone, oh no, I'm dragging away. Let's not do that. Yes. Okay. So, I haven't performed in any Shakespeare since I was in my late 20s, and I haven't. And since then, my only other involvement with the Shakespeare was to direct A Midsummer Night's Dream, which I did in my mid-30s. In fact, I'm quite proud of that. I joined a theatre company. There are two types of theatre company in the UK. There are the type that have no money and are all about the performance. And they tend to be productions that have no costume, almost no props, and absolutely no set. They predominantly in tiny little theatres, and they make very little money, but they do it because they are in love with performing and with plays, and B, because they don't have a structure in place to support them. And then the other type are the ones which are run predominantly by elderly people who've got nothing but time on their hands, and they have a very strict sort of committee structure, and they are usually quite wealthy, but they are frightened of taking risks. They're very dull, and I managed to get myself. I was looking for some amount of theatre to do, and they were auditioning, and I got a part, and it was okay, but I got stuck with them, and they were the second type, where it's all about committees and structure, and it's all it got all quite depressing. And when I joined, they asked me to write them a letter, and I kind of misunderstood what they wanted. What they just wanted was a letter saying I would like to join. That's all they wanted, a letter. But what I did was I gave them a resume. And obviously, as I've already stated, I've got quite a lot of Shakespeare, I've got some Brecht, I've got some Pinter, I've got quite a lot of daring theatre, because I was a member of the first type of theatre company where we wore black trousers and black t-shirts, or we used a coloured t-shirt to identify ourselves as a different faction if we were in a play that had factions. So, for instance, with Macbeth, Scheiße, I nearly missed that exit. When we were fighting the Norwegians at the beginning of the play, all the Scots wore blue and the Norwegians wore red t-shirts, and the traitors wore green, and the genuine kings wore blue. And it was that kind of thing. But the second one, the second theatre company I joined was as exactly as advertised. It was a group of elderly people predominantly. So I was approached because they'd seen my resume and there was a lot of Shakespeare, and they approached me and asked me if I wanted to direct anything. Because prior to leaving the other theatre company, I'd done a bit of directing with them. I directed My Girl by Barry Keefe. I directed Look Back in Anger by John Osborne. Hey, that bloody hell, right? Look Back in Anger. Well, that's going to pee me off. It's an incredibly famous play by an incredibly famous writer whose name I can't flippin' remember. And I directed something else that escapes me. Did a one act. Then I did a one act for this little theatre group to prove that I could direct, which went quite well. I managed to persuade a guy to come back into the theatre company to take this part that he was ideally suited for. I got my best friend to be my assistant director, which was fantastic. Although we had slightly different ideas about the play, he had never wanted to direct until I got him involved, and then I needed to audition for the play. For the importance of being earnest, and so I needed to miss the first half of rehearsal to do those auditions, and he took it, and it's that where he developed, where he realised that actually directing was fun. So that they approached me. So I'd asked to do the one act. They approached me to do this. They wanted to do a Shakespeare, or rather, the lady, the wonderful lady who was chairperson at the time. It was probably by a decade the youngest person on the committee. Bear in mind, the committee was predominantly run by pensioners. It was an elected committee. You voted, but nobody under the age of 50 really wants to be involved in an amateur theatre company to be part of a committee. You want to do it because you either want to direct or act, or you other creative talents like set decoration or costume design or lighting or sound. Those are the things you're interested in. But she was by a country mile the youngest person on the committee at the time. Oh, no. Is there anyone behind me? No, I might get away with it. I need to be able to see that traffic light. There we go. And she sidled up to me in one of the rehearsals for another play and said, did you fancy directing some Shakespeare with us? Because we've never done any. And I was a bit dumbfounded that an English theatre company had never performed any Shakespeare before. So, because the chairperson was involved in the process of getting this, I selected the play that I thought we would be able to cast given the people I had available to me, and I chose A Midsummer Night's Dream. I thought it's comedy, it's light, it's frothy, it's got dramatic elements, it's got romance. It's pretty much got everything you could want. It's got magic, it's got fairies, it's got revenge and intrigue, and it's fantastic. It's considered a comedy, but that does it to just simply dismiss it as a comedy. Not that there's anything wrong with the comedy. Comedy is one of my favourite things. It's just that there's more to it than comedy. It's dramatic, and it's magical, and it's grand, and it's great fun. What the heck I'm going right. Okay, I'm getting a ferry. Oh, I've never been into this ferry port. Okay, where the heck do I go? Helsinki. To the right. So we're going up that ramp. Okay, cool. Oh, we're getting a bit stuttery. I don't know if you've noticed, but yes, slow it down at the top of the ramp. Given my history with ferry ramps. And let's bring it to a stop. Right, what I'm going to do is I am going to do what I did. I'm going to pause this video at the other side of the ferry journey, and I am going to, where are we? Oh, 11 hours. I won't need to rest again. £640. So that should, actually, do you know what? Turku is just the other side. I think this might be, I might be able to manage this actually in this one video. Let's just see when we get out of the ferry. Yeah, 26 minutes. I can do this. Yes, this is going to be a 2-part video. That's good. It's not going to be too long, which is also good. And I feel a bit sort of mixed about presenting you guys with these enormously long videos, but I don't want to break the videos up. I've done it all once, and I really don't want to do it again. I'm going to end up having to, though. I'm going to end up in a situation where I am doing 2-hour, 3-hour journeys. So yes, we're about to discover Turku. We are round the corner from our destination, and we've rested so that we don't have to worry about anything. And it's night time. Actually, that's good. So that's good. Oh, crap. Oh no, turn the engine off, idiot. I don't know how I did any damage. I'm not entirely sure what I damaged my truck on. But I managed to persuade, with the assistance of the chairperson, we managed to get the committee to sign off on doing this Shakespeare play, even though they were totally scared. They were completely petrified. They didn't think they'd be able to do it. They didn't think it would be any good. We got the help of a former professional actress to do workshops in advance, just so that people would be comfortable with Shakespearean dialogue, and to prove that they wouldn't have a problem with Shakespearean dialogue, which absolutely worked a treat. It really did. And this lady was assigned as assistant director. She did alter a lot of the stuff. I would direct, and then she would sort of alter it, and I didn't always agree with everything. The one area of, if you're familiar with Much Ado About Nothing, there are a group of locals called the Mechanicals who do a play for the local king, for the Lord. And we discovered Turku. Excellent. Actually, let's just quickly look at the map a second. Alright, okay. Yeah. We don't have to do any wiggling. The discoverable is on our route. The only part of the play that I was really my own, and it's Volvo time, was a little group of locals that perform a play for the Lord, for the Duke, I think he is, and they're called the Mechanicals, and that was mine. That was all mine, and I got to work with some wonderful people who I love. They're incredible, wonderful people, and it was truly my favourite part of the play. The sad thing for me is that I'd met my wife after we did it, so she never got to see it. No. We're parked. It's green. Right. Out of that. Parking brake on. Engine off. And let us unhook the cargo. Well, we knew it was going to be good work because of my stupid cutting of the corner. But we are level 23, peeps. We're level 23. And we're a big chunk into level 24 as well. So, good work. Medical supplies delivered from Gdańsk in Poland to Turku in Finland. We drove 1,396 kilometres. We took 40 hours and 47 minutes to do it, and we used 552 litres of fuel. We got a base reward of £25,630 and 1,396 XP. We got a proficiency bonus for level 22 of £8,458. We got a long distance delivery bonus for skill rank 3 of £3,635 and 349 XP. We got a fragile cargo bonus for skill rank 3 of £3,635 and 307 XP. We got an urgent delivery bonus of skill rank 3 of £3,635 and 418 XP. A bit curious why the financial reward is always the same, but the XP reward is very different every time. We got our parking bonus of 45 XP, which we needed to mitigate our 2% damage. See, it always goes. You saw when I clicked on damage at that roundabout just before we turned into Turku, it said 1%. It always goes up 1% when you get the job complete form. I don't understand why that should be the case, but there you go. So the penalty we pay for that is we lost £232 and we lost 23 XP. Again, mitigated by our 45 XP for parking. It pays to park if you have an accident. Right, so what does that mean? It means that we're a level 23 master. That we have a profile lifetime XP of 59,034, and our new target for level 24 is 62,500 XP. That was good fun. I enjoyed talking about Shakespeare. I don't often get to talk about Shakespeare because not a lot of people into it, which is a shame. So, if you watched any portion of this video, thank you. Everybody that clicks on my videos to even watch a couple of seconds or a few minutes, or the whole thing, thank you very much. It's wonderful of you to do that. And so, hopefully that means you'll watch some minutes of another video. But until the next video, I'll see you on the road.